Do you have family birthdays that fall right along those holiday months? I know I do. Let's see. I've got two nephews, my son, my mother, and my granddaughter. And that's just the start of it. So, how do I incorporate the spirit of the season into a birthday card without it being a specific holiday? I'm going to show you what I do. Let's get crafting. I'm going to be using my handy dandy foolproof masculine card method, which you can download a copy of the PDF by watching the video that I will link above if you haven't seen it already. My color choices are a neutral palette with a pop of fall color. My theme is obviously wood and nature. And my techniques, I'm going to be doing sprays, embossing, die cutting, and stenciling. Now I've dug out a huge quantity of sprays, all in that neutral palette, along with some pops of fall color, and one of my favorite 3D embossing folders. This is a SIZZIX Tim Holtz 3D embossing folder called Tree Rings. Now I'm starting with a piece of craft colored cardstock, and you can see it's cut apart from something else. I've misted it lightly on the back with just some plain water, and I'm going to run it through my SPELLBINDERS Platinum 6 die cutting machine. Even though this is super thin cardstock, look at the added dimension that a 3D embossing folder gives you. This one's fabulous. Since I'm using sprays today, I am using a custom homemade spot box. And it's just a little tiny box that is probably from scrapbook.com that I cut down to kind of contain some of my sprays. And I dug out every spray that I have that's in a neutral palette, from distress oxides to dilutions to mica stains. So there's really no rhyme or reason. I'm just going to go to town. So I'm going to speed this up and let's just see all this splashy goodness. So the first spray I'm using is a distress oxide spray that is in walnut stain. So it's a darker brown. And you don't have to be afraid of mixing and matching types of sprays. They all kind of go. The distress oxides produce an oxidized look, so kind of a whitish, chalky color. And I'm going to next add some vintage photo in the same distress oxides. If you've been around for a while, you know that those are my favorite inks to use. So it's no surprise that I have a whole bunch of the distress oxide sprays as well. And as you can see, the spray pattern isn't really going to matter. So I am going to dry this, and here's a tip for you. Wet on wet blends. Wet on dry layers. Next up, I'm moving to a Distress Mica stain. This one is in tarnished brass, and it's still in those brown tones, but this one's got mica in it, so it's going to give a little bit of shine and shimmer. So I want to add some mossy feel to this, so I'm adding some crushed olive onto my cardstock. Now the beauty of sprays is you can't sum it up any better than Tim Holtz. He says you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That's why no two pieces are ever going to come out the same. Adding some water will get my inks moving into the cracks and crevices of the tree ring, and it's still not quite where I want, so I'm going to dry it off. It's really pretty. You can start to see the shine and the shimmer, but I still want dark, so I'm going to try some gray. This one's Hickory Smoke, and again, I'm just going to dry between layers where I see fit, add water, blend. I'm going to add black. I don't have regular Distress Oxide black, so I'm going to add this dilution spray, which is called Black Magic. And boy, is it. It's a shimmer spray. And you wouldn't think that this is going to look good, but wait till you see this. Isn't it pretty? Hey y'all, I'm Wendy from Village Card and Craft, and I want to thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. If you find value or enjoyment from my video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to have you be a part of the Village Card and Craft community. And if you'd like to share your crafty creations with like-minded people, please consider joining us over on Facebook at Village Card and Craft. We hope to see you there. Setting my panel aside, I'm going to be moving on to my greenery. I have pre-cut a load of die cuts. These are all from Tim Holtz, the SIZZIX Modern Festive, as well as a much older one that I got on my craft haul. This one's called Holiday Greens. And I normally die cut on a colored piece of cardstock if I have any that are kind of just scraps, because that's way I'm not using as much ink. I'm already starting with the base color. Now I didn't have a darker brown for like the pine cones, but don't you worry about that. My sprays are going to come in handy. And I'm starting with crushed olive and I'm just giving them a blast. Y'all, don't be afraid of getting sprays. They are so much fun and you just can go to town. I'm going to add sparkle and shine. This is another mica. Give it a little shake. The mica settles at the bottom of the bottle, so you need to get the little metal ball that's in there kind of cranking and move up all that mica so you get the shine when you spray. But these turn out gorgeous. A quick blast of heat from my heat tool and we are dry and ready to add Crooked Broomstick. Now this is a Halloween mica stain, but I don't really care when it came out. If it's the color that I'm looking for, it's right to use it whenever. And I'm next up going to be using a Christmas color, which ironically is called Holly Branch. In an effort to preserve your time, I'm going to skip ahead. All of my foliage is now sprayed and dry. I do want to give you a tip, especially if you're stuck in a rut or you don't have a project specifically. Go find your greenery, whatever kind of greenery you have. It doesn't matter if it's specific for a holiday. Go do some die cutting. Go do some just die cutting on white cardstock or colored cardstock. It doesn't really matter. Just go die cut or go heat emboss. Stamp a whole bunch of happy birthdays on leftover strips and heat emboss them and cut them apart and put them with the packaging. You will be that much farther ahead and you'll see that that's exactly what I've done at this point. So let's get back to the card. So I have an A2 size card base that is top folding. And if you don't know how to make your own card bases, I can link a video up top as well on how you can save money by doing that yourself. It is super simple and I'm using some Distress Oxides in Gathered Twigs. This is a dark brown color along with a blending brush and a piece of copy paper. I'm going to sandwich the piece of copy paper around the cardstock that I don't want to get any ink on. And I'm just going to ink blend around the edges. It doesn't really matter if it's a super smooth blend, if it's all one tone. This is actually going to have some highlights and some darker areas, and that's fine because I really wanted to mimic the tree rings, which is not a singular color, as you well know. How many colors did I use? 47? Who knows? It's all good. Just have fun with it. But I really want to kind of keep this as light a card as I can because it is going to get dropped in the mail. Okay, to put my card together, I'm going to be using my favorite Barely Art Precision Craft Glue along with some foam circles. And I've kind of done a preliminary layout. Now, I didn't use press and seal, but you certainly could if you really wanted the way that you laid it out to remain the same. You can put press and seal over the entire piece, turn it over, add your glue, and then glue it all down in one spot. That actually is very fast, but I wanted to make it harder on myself. Anyway, I'm gonna not put glue on every part because I want some of the pieces to kind of stand up off my card. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up so you can see what I did. So going back to the beginning of my video, while you're watching me glue all these pieces on, I really wanted a card that feels or has the elements of the holiday, fall, leading into Thanksgiving. But I didn't want it to be a Thanksgiving card where I slapped happy birthday on a turkey card. That just wasn't what I was looking for. I really wanted to make something special that incorporated the elements of fall or the elements of Thanksgiving if you're here in the United States, um, but not feel like that specific holiday, even though this person's birthday is right before Thanksgiving. And I know how that feels because usually when somebody goes to buy me a birthday card, I was born on St. Patrick's Day. And if someone goes to buy me a St. Patrick's Day, Hallmark usually has one birthday card, and sometimes I've even gotten the same card 3 or 4 times for the same birthday because that's all that they produce. And it literally is a happy St. Patrick's Day card, and oh, by the way, happy birthday as well. And I really didn't want that feeling. I wanted this to be something super special, incorporating those elements, but not making it feel like a Thanksgiving Day card. So I'm going to glue on the sentiment. This one says on your birthday, and I'm just tucking it up underneath one of those little pieces of foliage and gluing it down. This is something that I pre-made, and I make a lot of them. I stamp out a whole bunch on the strip and emboss, and I put them away for future use. A great time saver. Moving to the inside of my card, I'm going to be using the Happy Birthday from Spellbinders Sweet and Savory sentiments, along with Simon Says Stamp, It's Your Birthday sentiment set. This one says, the more candles, the bigger the wish. And I'm just lining this up in my stamp positioner, and I'm going to stamp this out in Morning Mist VersaFine Clair ink. So my ink pad is pretty dry and I need to get some refills. I made the mistake of buying these and not buying the refills at the same time, so lesson learned. All my VersaFine Clairs need refills ASAP. So I have already stenciled the bottom of my card, again in a wood style stencil. This one happens to be another Halloween Stampin' Stencil from Stampers Anonymous. This one has 2 mini stencils, and it's I just turned it sideways to use it. And then I'm going to use leftover foliage that I didn't end up using on the front of my card. And that's the beauty. If you have too much, you can use it on the inside of your card to give the inside of your card that wow factor as well. I did use a lot of glue because I want the foliage to be well glued down since it's on the inside of the card. And that little yellow piece is actually the center of the citrus that was supposed to be trash. But I'm using it on the inside of the card along with a couple of red berries to sort of form that triangular pattern that our eye finds pleasing. And a final gorgeous look at this beautiful card that is meant for a birthday but has that holiday feeling. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you real soon.